On my campus.
On my campus.
On my campus.
On my campus.
On my campus, they expect me to conform instead of adapt.
On my campus, revival should be the freedom to talk about what I believe without being judged.
On my campus, people don't see both sides of me.
On my campus, only one type of Christianity is allowed.
On my campus, we don't take enough responsibility for our own learning.
On my campus, I feel like my voice isn't heard.
On my campus, I wish people took the time to get to know me.
On my campus, my lifestyle isn't accepted.
On my campus, I'm noticed
but not known.
On my campus, people are afraid to speak their mind because of what the majority may think.
On my campus, despite my best efforts, changes seem impossible.
On my campus, I am perceived differently because of the color of my skin.
On my campus. On my campus.
On my campus, I wish people didn't associate me with one mistake.
On my campus, I'm held to a higher standard because of my background.
On my campus, student life claims to be restorative, but really just wants us to conform.
On my campus, my sexual orientation can't be talked about.
On my campus, I wish students had more empathy for each other.
On my campus, I'm expected to speak for those who look like me.
On my campus, I wish students made more of an effort to include those around them.
On my campus, when it comes to diversity, we have a lot more work to do.
On my campus, I'm getting the opportunities taken away from me because of the color of my skin.
On my campus, student life cares more about assigning the punishment than caring for the person.
On my campus, my political and social views are discounted because they don't align with the majority.
On my campus, administration tells me one thing, but I'm left with empty promises.
On my campus, I want a real-world experience.
On my campus.
On my campus.
On my campus.
On my campus, racism is still accepted.
On my campus, I wish people took the time to get to know me.
On my campus, it's looked down upon to associate with people who think differently than me.
On my campus, I'm negatively perceived because of the group I'm associated with.
On my campus, I want the same energy that I give.
On my campus, I wish all forms of worship were accepted.
On my campus, I feel like I have to be a completely different person.
On my campus, I'm more than just an athlete.
On my campus, when I try to build community, my energy pushes people away.
On my campus, I wish the inclusivity of the athletic department overflowed into the rest of the student body.
On my campus, I wish people would give my team a chance.
On my campus, my opinions are disregarded unless they come out of the mouths of my male peers.
On my campus, Christians are more focused on soul winning than they are on real discipleship.
On my campus, I wish the Bethel bubble didn't exist.
On my campus, I wish that natural inclusivity happened everywhere.
On my campus, people only expect one type of masculinity.
On my campus, I feel like my voice isn't heard.
On my campus, it's more socially acceptable for me to be friends with girls.
On my campus, it's more socially acceptable for me to be friends with guys.
On my campus, expressing my political views has cost me some friends.
On my campus, I wish people's impressions of me didn't just stop at my appearance.
On my campus, I'm asked to speak up, yet I'm still not heard.
On my campus, I want action.
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 On our campus, we want action.
Ways that we could be better at inclusion, and ways that we, us personally, have done like a bad job of being exclusive with others. So we were just trying to be honest from the stage and just got a group together. And this year, Sean actually gave Cam and I another chapel to kind of further that conversation. But after a lot of prayer and thought and consideration, we thought that Vespers would be the best route to go with that. So we had seen that Not On My Campus video, the first one that played. That came out a couple years ago, and we've seen it numerous times since I've been a student here. But we wanted to get a group of students together and say, no, actually on my campus, a lot of this stuff actually happens. So we took a risk making that video. We came together in like this sketchy closet in the AC, and over 70 students came out, and it was just a really really awesome experience just to have students come in front of the camera, and we didn't have a script for them. They just shared their real experiences, and maybe some of them wanted help wording, like how to say their phrase, but they all came in with just different experience, all personal to them, but all that I think every one of us in this room can relate to something that was on that screen. So just echoes of the campus were being brought forth, and yeah, that's how the video came about. It was super liberating to see people just be real and honest in front of the camera. But it wasn't a video that we want you guys to take away and be like, wow, like, Bethel sucks. No, the reason we ended this video with I Want Action is because we want the future of Bethel to look different than it does right now. So I actually want to share a quick story. So last year, my family went on a cruise, and it was really fun, and I have a bunch of siblings. And my younger brother is about 7 years younger than the youngest sibling, but most of us are about 2.5 years apart. So before this cruise, he comes up to us and he's like, hey y'all, like, when you guys do sibling stuff on the cruise, make sure to include me because I'm a sibling too. And we're all like, oh my gosh, Reed, of course we're gonna include you. He was 10 at the time, but he's like the best one out of all of us. So we're like, no, dude, like, we're gonna include you for sure. So we're going throughout the cruise and having like a fun time. And at the last stop, Reed got sick. So he came up and he was like, hey, like, I don't think I'm gonna hang out, like, and go on the excursion with you guys today. I'm gonna hang out with Mom and Dad. So we're like, oh, like, that sucks, okay. And we go and have fun, and we're like, oh, like, oh, we wish Reed was with us, but we're still having a fun time. And we get back on the cruise, and we have this meeting spot that our whole family meets at an hour before the cruise takes off. And we didn't pay for like the Wi-Fi because that's too expensive for too many of us. So we're like, okay, just at this time, we're gonna meet at this spot and just make sure you're there. So all of us siblings come back, and my mom, my dad, and Reed were like nowhere in sight. And we're like, what the heck is going on? So 10 minutes pass and they're still not there. 20 minutes pass and like we're like, okay, what's going on? So my younger sister got like frustrated and like went to go lay down on my parents' bed. And she laid down, and on the bed was a piece of paper that said, had to take Reed to the hospital. We left you guys with some credit cards in the case or whatever. We took our passports. Hopefully we'll be back on before the ship takes off. But if not, we'll see y'all in America. And we're like, oh my gosh, what in the world is gonna happen? So what actually ended up happening is there was this drop slide on the cruise. And to be able to go on that drop slide, you had to be like a certain weight. And Reed was only 10, so he was 14 pounds under the weight limit. But there's also unlimited food on this cruise, so his 10-year-old mind was thinking, I'm gonna eat enough food to gain 14 pounds in a couple days. And literally he got himself so sick that he had to go to the emergency room in Mexico. So I tell you guys that story because now when we look back on the cruise, myself and my siblings were like, oh, like, that was the best time ever, so fun. But my mom, my dad, and Reed all have a little bit of a tainted view of what that cruise looked like and their experience on the ship. And I think if we're being honest with ourselves, I think some of us have a tainted view of our experience at Bethel. So I just want to I want you guys to keep that in your minds. So on Wednesday mornings, I co-lead a Bible study called Brave Love with Bree Andrews. And I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what Brave Love is. So Brave Love is vulnerable. God made himself so vulnerable to man by sending his son Jesus. It is being honest about what we feel and think and need. It's saying, I'm broken over this and I'm not afraid to share it. Brave Love is truly seeing everyone you come in contact with. Brave Love is a choice to radically choose to serve someone else, expecting nothing in return. Brave Love is looking into the eyes of someone who has hurt you and offended you and caused you much pain and feeling nothing but love for them, because love overrides all other emotions. Brave Love prays until it sees something happen. Brave Love is seeking out the lost, the lonely, and the hurting. Brave Love is all-inclusive. Brave Love held Jesus to the cross, and Brave Love is Jesus. So I'm going to read a little bit from Judges. If you guys know anything about Judges, or this section I'm going to be talking about, you might know a little bit about Deborah, which is who we talk about in Brave Love. She's just a woman who was a woman of solution. So I want to read this. It's from it's from Judges 4, 4 through 10, and I might not get all the names right, so just bear with me. And the people of Israel again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord after Ehud died, and the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor, and the commander of his army was Sisera, who lived in Heroth something. Then the people of Israel cried out to the Lord for help, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and he oppressed the people of Israel cruelly for 20 years. Now Deborah was a prophetess, the wife of Lipitah. She was judging Israel at the time. She used to sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel, and in the hill country of Ephraim. And the people of Israel came to her for judgment. She sent and summoned Barak, the son of Abinom and from Kedesh, and said to him, Has not the Lord, the God of Israel, commanded you? Go and gather your men at Mount Tabor, taking 10,000 from his people of Naphtali and the people of Zebulun. And I will draw out Sisera, the general of Jabin's army, and meet you by the river, Kishon with his chariots and his troops, and I will give them into your hand. Barak said to her, If you will go with me, this is him talking to Deborah, if you will go with me, I will go. But if you will not go with me, I will not go. And she said, Surely I will go with you. So I also want you guys to keep in mind, at that time, like, women were not allowed to speak up. So it's like there's this rarity about Deborah that she spoke up in that time and like was a leader. So the Lord keeps drawing me to who Deborah was. She continues to shine brighter and brighter. She was one of the greatest warriors in the Bible, and Deborah became a tool for salvation. And she was a judge in Israel, and she was married, yet she was handpicked by God to activate a nation. Deborah activated a nation. She declared war on the oppressor. She followed divine direction. She was a woman of solution. There came a time where she looked oppression in the face and said, This is enough. And the results were leaders stirred into action. So her love was her greatest yes to God. And the results of this activated obedience was how the oppression ended. And that's been my hope and dream here at Bethel University, because I believe there's attentive action required for change to be made. And I want to see the need and feel the heart that the Lord has, that easily affected heart that God has, and take up that need. So at the end of the day, like, I might not have all the answers, but at the end of the day, God is the solution. So Judges goes on to talk about how Deborah stirred herself into action. I think that's a good message, just that like where we're at, like these 70 people in this video, like we want action. And I know that like you guys can relate to that as well. So I think it's easy to like put Deborah or someone in the Bible up on a pedestal and be like, oh, like, man, like I wish I was more like her because that person was more like Jesus. Ultimately, like, how do I get like that? And I think the way to start is just giving God your yes daily, no matter what it is, because Deborah was a countercultural woman, and I think that's what we need to be in our hearts as well. Day in and day out, just being faithful to God. So I also want to read from Revelation 9, verse 7-9, which says, After this I looked, and behold, a great multitude that no one could number, from every nation, from all tribes and peoples and languages, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes, palm branches in their hands, and crying with a loud voice, Salvation belongs to our God, who sits on the throne, and to the Lamb. So we see here that like the kingdom is all inclusive, and I think that's important to note, that like natural inclusivity is like what is desired here. There was someone in the video that said, I wish natural inclusivity was more of a thing here at Bethel. So a couple more things is, a couple months ago I was at the DC with Elena, and we were just having a pretty serious conversation, not serious enough to have in the DC or else we wouldn't be having it, but we were having a decent conversation, and this girl named Madeline just came up and sat with us. So I don't know if Madeline is in here, but she just came up and sat with us, and at first I was kind of like, what is this girl doing? Like, we're having a conversation, what in the world? And she just starts up a conversation and just starts speaking to us, and I was like, wow, like, this is really cool, and we got to know her. And at the end of our conversation, I asked her, I said, what made you want to come up and sit with us? And she was like, well, I came to the DC without anyone, and I just was looking around, and you guys seemed really kind, so I decided to sit with you guys. I was like, wow, like, the boldness that she had, just to come out and sit with us. I'm personally not that bold. Like, I wish I was, but the boldness that she had to come approach us. Then the fact, I'm just so thankful that Elena and I were just able to be inclusive with her. And I think that's like a practical way of how we can be inclusive on this campus. So the last verse I want to read is from Luke 15, 1-7, and it says, Now the tax collectors and sinners were drawing near to him, and the Pharisees and the scribes grumbled, saying, This man receives sinners and eats with them. So he told them this parable. What man of you, having 100 sheep, if he has lost one of them, does not leave the 99 in an open country and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders, rejoicing. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and his neighbors, saying to them, Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost. Just so I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 persons who need no repentance. So just the visual of leaving the 99 for the one. I think the people in that video, and a lot of us on Bethel are the one that's being talked about right here. So I want to go back to this cruise story for a second. If anyone knows anything about cruise ships, you know that they have this mantra of like the ship waits for no one. There would be people, we would be taking off, and there'd be like drunk people that forgot to come back to the ship, like waving, hoping they would let them on. And it's like, bye, see ya, like we told you we're taking off at 5. So the ship waits for no one. That's the mantra. But somehow my dad got a hold of the captain and told him what was happening with my brother. And the whole ship waited for my brother because it was titled a medical emergency. And Bethel, I think we're in an emergency right now, that we need to hold the ship for the one. So I want you guys to be thinking about who's that one person, whether it's you, whether it's someone else, whoever it is, that we need to just stop everything and say, hey, normally we don't do this, but right now we need to be waiting for that one person and hold up for them. So are we willing to leave the 99 to chase after the one? Yeah.
So when we were putting this together, so there's 5 of us that actually put this together, and I just want to take a minute to shout them out too. So Thomas, Trey, and then Allie back there with the camera, me and Ari, we came together. Me and Ari knew that last year we did a chapel, and we put together a panel with 4 other people because we knew, like, you can't just speak on this alone. Like, there needs to be an example. And again, in this, I think, even though these 3 people aren't on the stage with us tonight, like, it's still an example. Like, the 5 people, I mean, I know, like, some of us hang out, but just, like, we have such different perspectives. Like, even Ari and I, sometimes we kind of, like, you know, butt heads, like, no, that's not the way to do it. But, like, we balance each other out, and there's something unique about this group that put it together tonight. And I think that's exactly what we're talking about. So when we were putting together everything, I was like, well, I can't make a video. I was like, if I make a video, it's going to be, like, on an iPhone. And I actually saw Theo Williams saying, he's like, I didn't know you were actually going to make, like, a video. And I'm like, I didn't know either, because at the start I was like, I'm going to have, like, a little slideshow on your iPhone photo app. But so Trey and Allie edited the whole video. The 5 of us reached out to 70-some of you to be in it, and then me and Ari kind of put together these words along with them. And so I just want to make that clear. So Ari was going to do more of the sermon. She had this plan since August, that this is what she wanted to speak about, and I thought that it was really important to draw it out. And so the 4 of us kind of came in on that and added on. So I'm going to speak more on, like, the practical ways, so kind of what Ari ended with. And I know that public speakers are supposed to be good and, like, not stare at their scripts, but these words are just really important to me. So if you catch me reading, it's not because I didn't prepare. I really don't want to miss a step. So when we started this project, we had a goal in mind. We wanted to bring awareness specifically to administration. I wanted them to see our hurt, to notice our struggles, to really get a glimpse of our experience. I wanted them to be moved in a way that prompted action. The first few students that we reached out to and brought into our studio, so sketchy closet as Ari said, were anxious, they were fearful, some were confused, like, what are you doing? And a few were even upset. But I think at the same time, whether it came right away or later, each person that came in was excited. This was their chance to speak their minds, to show Bethel that they deserve more and that they want more. They admired the fact that we had the guts to compile this quote-unquote bash video. And that's when I started to have a little bit more feeling within this project. The more I described to each student that came in what we were doing, the more I started to get anxious. Was this really just a hate video? Was this just a direct mock of a video? Was this really going to work? Were we doing it in the right way? So we welcomed 70-some students. We've said that a couple times. We did this in a week and a half. Like, I literally just, like, we set our whole lives aside for a whole week. And, I mean, some of you probably saw us on 3rd floor, like, popping in a closet with a student, a line waiting outside, like, maintenance guy one day, like, opened the door and he's like, oh, I just wanted to see where there's cord leaded to, because we literally plugged it in down the hallway. So yeah, within this week and a half, we welcomed these students in front of the camera and we just asked them to share with us. Some of them left saying, I don't really have anything to say, and we were like, you know, that's fine. But without placing a script in front of them, we just asked them, what are the ways that you felt like you haven't fit in on campus or that you've been overlooked? We've asked them to think through how they've been overlooked or left out, not just by administration, but also by the students around them. Hearing what they had to say is where I began to feel more peace, more confidence in what we were doing. I was reminded that our efforts mattered. I was reminded of our power, not as me, Allie, Ari, Thomas, and Trey, but as students on this campus. And I felt a reminder to the call for me and the rest of us to do this work. Some took time to think of what to say. Some knew right away, not because they knew about the project, but they've been holding on to this for quite some while. Some knew because they'd started to talk about it with their friends who'd already filmed. And at this point, I began to become a little more worried again. When I first heard that people were talking, I got scared. What if admin and other students heard about the video? What if they'd missed our intent and thought of it maliciously? Would it be shut down? Again, we took a step back and we realized that this talk was good. This, gossip on campus, I guess, was fruitful and part of what we had attempted to accomplish with this project, for people to start a conversation about their hopes, their hurts, and their experiences. What we're hearing in this video tonight is a collective of students all around campus asking for a call to action. This is directed at our entire campus, not just administration, but students too. But what we're seeing within this video is 70-some students from all areas of campus hoping for the same thing, banding together, truly linking arms, and actually thinking of forming a truly inclusive community. We've done this with the support of the 5 of us, but we've also done this with a few members of faculty and staff supporting us, and even a part of the administration. What I want to talk about tonight is this word inclusivity. It isn't impossible, and even the push for it isn't impossible. It's truly attainable even here where we have such specific divisions. Christians, non-Christians, athletes, non-athletes, musicians, nurses, etc. Because these aren't divisions, these are just groups. We don't have to stay in our circles. These divisions we so often talk about on campus or see, they don't come from Bethel putting us into these boxes. They come directly from us. They come straight from our minds when we're thinking things like, oh, that person would never want to hang out with me, or I would never, ever do the same thing as that person. We allow this to control us. We disregard our own power. We allow our own biases, judgments, past stereotypes to cling onto and determine the community that we're in. I've seen these divisions break down, and not just in the last few weeks of these filming. The most recent example that comes to mind is the President's Pumpkin Party. It's so weird for me to be up here saying that. If you weren't there, you really missed out, because it was fun. And I didn't think anyone was coming, but we filled this barn that Greg Chenoweth has in his backyard with so many people that we could not move. I'm not claustrophobic, but I'm like, guys, I need some space here. But as we were just, partying, it's so weird to say at Bethel, but as we were partying, no one seemed to care who was watching, who was next to them, or where their circle even was. I was in the midst of the party, and I was helping Anna with campus activities, cutting apples over there. And I literally was like, hold on to my spot, I need to go find Ariana. And I remember tapping Ariana on the shoulder with a huge smile on my face saying, dude, this is it. This is the community that we've been longing for. And it's so weird to say that it's in Dr. Chenoweth's barn, and that we are partying with pumpkins, but this is it. I looked at her and I'm like, this is a truly inclusive event. And this is a truly inclusive community. I saw us all looking out for the one, just like Ari spoke about. Though, we don't need to party at Pres Chens every weekend in order to be inclusive. Our daily actions matter. Seeking people out for this video and listening to them was one example. This is an example I think some of you have heard me use, but I always say turning around in the SG line and saying hello to the person behind you is an example. Sitting and talking with people in the DC that look friendly and vice versa, that's an example. I always feel the most validated and seen when the person I least expected remembers me or brings me up or says hello. I remember even as an RA last year, some girls on my floor, middle of the year, finally said hi to me, and I would tell my RD, oh my gosh, finally, that girl said hi to me, I've been waiting for it, for her to notice me. I think about it all the time. Walking, sitting, and talking with anyone should be the case on campus. And even though it isn't right now, doesn't mean it's out of reach. We can put an effort to break down our current habits and to move towards more of a natural inclusivity. But we first have to break down the divisions that we subtly create. We have to combat the fear in our own minds, and we have to start by getting really uncomfortable. One thing that's really uncomfortable for me is speaking in front of people. I remember last year I did Vespers, and I'm pretty sure I just blabbed on. I think people were waiting to leave, and this room is not full like this, so this makes me a little more nervous. Especially speaking with those who I desire to impress, who I don't know, or who have some type of power over me. Despite it being so anxiety-provoking and uncomfortable, somehow for the past 4 years, I found myself speaking in front of people constantly. And not because people are asking me to, but I'm like asking people, let me speak in front of people. I've had a really great experience on this campus, but I've been really uncomfortable throughout my time at Bethel. Though it's been worth it, because the way that I've spoken up, the steps that I've taken so that others can be heard, and the way that I've chosen to attempt to change our culture and our community matters. I'm okay, because I know that it's for the betterment of others. I know it's for the right reasons, and I know that I can make a difference now, or maybe will later, even if it's small. So Ari and I have done a lot of work in the past 3 years, and we've shared a lot of discomfort, like not even like with what we're doing, but even between each other, like, oh, I don't know about that camera. No, Ari, like we're not doing that, you know. But we've shared our views and our perspectives in many group discussions. It's been uncomfortable. We've put on a chapel with 4 people we weren't very familiar with. It was uncomfortable. We spoke up at the president's Q&A this beginning of this year. It was uncomfortable. We pushed to get another chapel this year. It was uncomfortable. We sat and listened to a professor who we love tell us that we're doing everything wrong and that we're attempting to make change in some of the wrong ways. That was uncomfortable. We went up and told Sean, we don't want a chapel anymore. It was uncomfortable. We sat with students in a closet asking them about their feelings. That was uncomfortable. We sat with someone who doubted our plan, warning us of the potential consequences. It was uncomfortable. Just this week, we sat in Sean's office, me, Allie, and Ari, to talk about this video and preview with him, and that was uncomfortable. We've been frustrated, we've been hopeless, and worried, but most of all, we've been uncomfortable. Not only this semester, not only in this project, but throughout the last 3 years. Though it's all been done as I truly think it's been intended to be. It's given us the chance to not only speak about inclusivity like we are tonight, but to become more aware of it ourselves. It's pushed us to take real action in the direction that we hope to go and the change that we hope to make. This discomfort has been so worth it to us and even to some of you. If in any of these instances we had strayed from the discomfort, we wouldn't be where we are today. If anything that we've done, any step that we've taken in the last 3 years went wrong or went differently, we wouldn't be standing here right now. The most practical way I can share with you guys tonight on how to be inclusive is to stop running from the discomfort. Just like Ari spoke about with the whole DC thing and how, sometimes we don't even feel bold enough to do that. Do it. Stop pushing away the discomfort and running towards fear. We're honestly lucky to be on a campus where administration is within such reach, and not only within reach, but willing to welcome us in to hear us. Though this isn't the only way change comes about. Sitting in a different spot, waving to a different person, bringing up a different topic, welcoming in a new teammate, listening to a different perspective, and even taking a different path. Moving away from your usual group, going to that event on the weekend without anyone else. Taking time to spend outside of your own clique, being open to others joining in on it, and breaking down these divisions you subtly create. Even though it seems as if administration is in power, as if they have all the responsibility, we as students are the ones who hold the power. We have the power to change the way that campus feels. And right now it feels isolating, it feels divisive, and it feels exclusive. But we can make these seemingly simple decisions in order to lead each other towards true inclusivity. So like I said, each of us had a part in this, and one of it was words, putting together words that people could easily understand would impact them. And when we were talking about that, I thought immediately of Thomas, and I asked him, could you write up a sort of message of intent? Because at the time, we thought we would want to put that with the video. And he wrote, the atmosphere of our institution stems from the administration, but is carried by our students. This atmosphere has created division and exclusion rather than diversity and inclusion. It's up to us to create this culture that we claim to already have. And he's right, he summed it up perfectly in those few sentences. He's right in saying our community is carried by the students, and the only way that administration will ever hear us, or even the other students around us will ever hear us, is to get uncomfortable and to speak up, to step out and to hear a new perspective. These simple moves become something bigger. This is how we can make Bethel University better than Bethel College. This is how we can break down these divisions, and this is how we can cultivate that culture that we claim to already have. Tonight, we've thrown a lot your way. We've shared how our campus intended things to be in the past. We've shared how we feel right now with 70-some of your peers. We've shared a biblical reminder to look for those around you. We've shared practical ways that have and can form the community that we hope for and desperately need. But now it's your turn to do something. We don't have a follow-up to this Vespers. We're not going to start a midweek where we talk about this all the time. We really want this to prompt you guys to take action yourselves. So we're asking you to take different steps, to ask questions, to work to break down these divisions, and doing it all by getting uncomfortable. So for those of you who are part of our video, who came into that small, crowded, hot closet, which often was interrupted, if you stand behind what you said in that video still today, and if you truly want change and are willing to take what we've said tonight and attempt to break down your own divisions here on campus and even beyond that, will you stand with us now? For those of you who've seen all of these people speak up tonight in little ways and big ways, will you make that same promise? Will you promise to get uncomfortable in order to be more inclusive, to create the culture that we already claim to have? Will you push past complaints and fall into real action? If so, will you stand with us now? So I've been to Vespers before, and I don't think it's ever been this packed. So this is just a really impactful moment for obviously the people that put it together and the people in the video, but I think for us all to just be able to stand with people and because we mean something, because we have a goal, because we're sharing one perspective. And I just want us to think about that and let tonight be the start of creating community. Let it be the start of moving towards the inclusive kingdom of God that we not only hope for, but that we speak of here constantly at Bethel University. So Ari's going to pray for us now, and then we're going to move into a time of reflection that we would love for you to stay for.
Bow your heads with me. God, you're good. You're so good to us, Father. Even when we don't see that or feel that, God, you're still right there with us, and you're so good to us, God. I thank you for all these voices tonight that were shown through this video, Lord. It's such a risk putting that out there, God, but I just thank you just for the way it was brought together, Lord. So I pray tonight that we will be people of solution, God, that we'll look at what's going on Bethel's campus and say that this is enough and that change needs to happen here, God. So I pray that you would just go before us and behind us and all around us, God. I thank you in advance for doing that, Lord. So I pray that tonight and continuing at Bethel University, you will do miracles, Lord. I pray that you will do more than we can ask or imagine, God. Go above and beyond. And we just thank you for what you're already doing with this room and the amount of people that are here tonight, God. Let none of us, not one of us, God, leave here unchanged. But have a stirring in our hearts to do something and to take action, God. So we just thank you for that. We thank you for the reminders in Judges and in Revelation and in Luke and all throughout the Bible that still reign true today, God. There's nothing new under the sun, and what you're doing, just let it continue to be done, God. So we just thank you so much. We pray over this next few minutes of reflection. Let this be a conversation that just continues. So we just love you, and it's in your name we pray. Amen.